Good afternoon. I am Mayor Shannon Glover of the City of Portsmouth, and I am here to welcome you to our news conference this afternoon. Before we begin, I would like to ask my good friend, Pastor Kelvin Turner of Zion Baptist Church, to start us off with an opening prayer. Pastor Turner.
Thank you, Mayor Glover, and to each and every one of you today. May we bow our heads. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far along the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. We pray for our city leaders. We pray for our community partners. We pray for our city, Portsmouth. We've come because of the crime challenge in our community. Thank you for the people. Thank you for the passion of those who fill this room, who will do more than talk about crime, but who are committed to reduce it. We seek your guidance as we work together to make Portsmouth safe, healthy, positive, and progressive place to live. That's our prayer in Christ's name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Turner. Before I begin, I want to recognize a few of my colleagues on City Council. We have Councilman Bill Moody, Councilwoman Lisa Lucas Burke, and also I want to recognize our Chief Law Enforcement Officer in the City of Portsmouth, Commonwealth's Attorney, Mrs. Stephanie Morales. As you see behind me are sitting our law enforcement partners from all areas, including the city, state, and national agencies. And I want to take a moment to thank them for being here and to recognize them also for their participation. In addition, we have Mr. Stephen Williams, who is representing Centera Healthcare and their trauma program. We are in challenging times. We're dealing with a pandemic and community violence, which threaten the safety and security of our community. As leaders, the safety and security of our community is priority number one. I want to thank each of you for coming out to be with the City Council, the City Manager, the Chief of Police, the Commonwealth's Attorney, Sheriff, our law enforcement partners from around Hampton Roads, the Commonwealth of Virginia, and the federal government. The purpose of this press conference is to show unity and solidarity with the Portsmouth community in our efforts to combat violent crime in our city. We have heard the citizens of Portsmouth speak. You have spoken before City Council, at community and civic league meetings. You have talked to pastors in churches and all over our city. We stand together here today to let you know that we have indeed heard your voice. We have listened and have begun to put things in motion. All the elements and people are now in place. We in one voice say, we are tired of the violent crime occurring in the city of Portsmouth. We are tired of crime disrupting our peace. It is past time to stop the violence. The Portsmouth Police Department was recently awarded a $495,000 grant from the Virginia Department of Criminal Justice Services to implement strategies to reduce gun and gang violence in the city. But it's important also to remember that each and every one of us as citizens have a role to play in reducing crime and gun violence in our city. We're asking everyone, families, moms, dads, sisters, brothers, grandparents, aunts, and uncles, everyone that is involved with our youth and people in the community, to pay attention to what's going on in your environment. And when you see something, by all means, say something. To combat violent crime, we will use a three-pronged approach: prevention, intervention, and enforcement. These tactics will involve all of us, each and every one of us: government, families, nonprofit groups, including social, civic, and faith-based organizations from across the city. To date, we have formed a steering committee that represents all these areas. The main point I want to make today is to convey the message that the citizens of Portsmouth have been heard. It's going to take all of us to reverse the trend. We stand together, community, government, local, state, federal law enforcement agencies. We stand today and pledge to work alongside you to combat crime. Now, I'd like to call on City Manager Angel L. Jones to provide a few highlights of our crime prevention strategic plan. After the city manager's remarks, speakers will follow in the order of your program. Thank you once again for being here. Madam City Manager.
Before beginning the highlights, I just want to state that public safety has been, is, and will continue to be our #1 priority. Today, some of the highlights, and I will focus on some of the partnerships and some of the specific programs and initiatives that we're undertaking. Through a partnership with Portsmouth Public Schools, we're extending youth programs, carrying them longer into the evening, and providing food to give our youth an opportunity to reestablish hopes and dreams. We want to create these programs because it gives a positive outlet and also provides nurturing mentors that will assist them in their development. In addition, we're communicating with civic associations, having citizens bring us firsthand things that will work in their communities, and we're acting on those. Some of the success stories we've had already since we've begun implementing those programs are in the Craddock area, where there was consistent requests for speed bumps, speeding initiatives, crime in terms of people hanging out in the library during off hours. So we've taken aggressive steps to reinforce our no trespassing signs. We've enacted dispersed police to targeted areas to make a presence in those specific areas. And we've also looked at how we change policies around how we implement some of our actions and making sure that we're responsive. And the key is that we're working together. Not everything is going to work, but the city is sending the message that we're really willing to try. So the other thing we're doing is partnering with the Sheriff's Department in a program called, it's a pilot program, and it's an ambassador program where we have grassroots people in this organization that have a trust relationship with our youth to establish contact and make sure that they're giving them the tools, giving them information, bringing the parents in so that we can talk to them about what opportunities are available to assist them with whatever they may be going through to hopefully deter them from crime. The other is we've started to work with Act Now. That's another partnership that we have that looks at data-driven mechanisms to impact communities and deter crime. We're going to be exploring more of those types of programs as we talk about later ARPA funding. So with that, I will say that other initiatives that we're doing is working collectively with Dominion Energy. We know that street lights help save or deter crime. By lighting up areas, it removes those hiding places and takes away the opportunity to do things that we know are not legal. Research shows us that well-lit areas do deter crime. We're also taking up a concerted effort to remove blighted properties, to remove criminal properties. We initiated our first criminal blight declaration, and we're already seeing results. We're having owners come and say they're willing to work with the city to do whatever they need to do to address those criminal, those infrastructures that generate criminal activity, and even if it means removing the people from those properties. We are making progress. Of course, this has been said, but the final ingredient is each of our community members. And whether that's a stakeholder from a business, a church, a school, a family, you name it, we all need to be a part of this solution. Crime didn't happen overnight. There's systemic reasons why people engage in crime, and we know that we have to fix that. And to do so, it's going to require some concerted and strategic effort. And we need to be prepared to do that and make the sacrifice so that this community can move forward and we can prosper. So I say all that to say that pledge to work with the city. Definitely, if you see something or hear something, say something. We want to work together, but the bottom line is public safety is our #1 priority. That's everyone across the board needs to feel safe. Our kids need to have dreams, they need to have hopes, and if we take that away, then we're going to deal with the consequences. So to that, I say thank you, and let's keep working on making progress.
Good afternoon. I'm Chief Prince, Chief of Police for Portsmouth. You've heard about the prevention part. You've heard about some of the intervention parts. I'm the last piece of that. I'm the enforcement part. I'm the part that we don't want to have to use. This is a problem that has been here for a while. We cannot arrest our way out of where we find ourselves at now. However, arrest will be part of it. It's the last thing that we want to do. So you want to hear specifics on what we're going to do. You heard a big part of it, and that's the upfront part. We have to afford our youth, make no mistake, it's our youth who are involved in these shootings. We have to afford them opportunities. We have to give them choices that will make them better citizens in our city. We have to give them choices that will make them able to be employed to be better citizens in the future. I don't do that. I will hire somebody if they qualify to be a police officer at Portsmouth. I will hire them on my civilian staff. It's more than us, it's everybody. Now, as you see behind me, we have our federal partners. Behind me, I'm going to start off with Sheriff Moore. He's been working with us since I've got here and since I became chief and before then. Behind me is the ATF, DEA, and FBI. Those are three-letter places that cause very long sentences when people get involved. They're standing, or they're sitting now, in support of Portsmouth. They've offered all of their resources to help us reduce crime. We're not alone. Chief Boone from Norfolk, Chief Wright from Chesapeake, we're talking both sides, have extended their offer of assistance to us because we deal with the same people over and over again. I'm going to introduce y'all to who I am. I've been here going on 3 years. I've been to so many homicides I can't remember, and I don't want to remember some. I am tired, Portsmouth. I'm tired of seeing young dead people that died for needless reasons, that died over something stupid, that died because they didn't know how to engage in conversation with somebody to keep somebody from using a gun. I'm tired of seeing mothers grieving over a lost child. I'm tired of seeing grandmothers that raise some of these children and these young men and women grieving because somebody bought a gun to what should have been a discussion. Now, we look at our police department. You know how critically short we are, and we're still providing services, and I refuse to stop providing some of those services. We will serve you. But guess what? When something happens in your community and you don't tell us, we may never know. Because a shot rings out in the middle of the night does not mean that a police officer is going to hear it. It does not mean that somebody else will call. Far from it. What upsets me is that there are people in their homes hearing shots and they duck and they pray to God that it doesn't strike them or someone that they love. They pray to God that the police will find out. They hope that somebody called. You got to stop hoping, Portsmouth. You got to start taking action. I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm trying to give you the facts. I'm trying to let you know what we need. We're here to serve you, but we need your help to serve you. If you don't call and tell us, we won't know. But if you call, we will come. And I know those people out there, well, it takes a long time. Sometimes it does. But I can guarantee you one thing. When these officers get a shots fired call, that becomes their priority. They leave whatever else they're doing, probably upsetting someone else, to get to you. Call us. Give us the information. There are many avenues out there. And there's this myth that when you call in on the Crime Stoppers line, that information is controlled by the police. Nothing further from the truth. We don't control that at all. We have a dedicated line, a phone that comes to us. We get that information and we act on it. We have no idea where that information comes from. Most people aren't going to believe what I'm saying. Okay? You will learn me over time. I'm not going to lie to you. We do get your information when you call 911, but generally that's the information that you surrender to the 911 operator. Give them the information. If you choose not to answer all their questions, don't. But please give us a chance to get there. Make the call. Give the information. Give us a chance. We're trying to give you a chance. We want people to be able to go home at night and rest in their bed. I want to see children out playing, acting like little children. I want to be able to drive through your community and see people with smiles on their face and not fear, waiting to see when the next shot's going to ring out. We can do something, but we need your help. This is a partnership. If we don't come together and say that we will not tolerate this senseless violence anymore, we're not going to accomplish anything. It's not a time for finger pointing. It's not a time for accusations. It's a time for us to act. We have to act now, y'all. We got to take a stand. I know fear. We can get past that. Just make the call. Help us out so we can help the people who we serve. We have a dedicated group of people that answer the call every day. I force them into overtime and they answer over and over and over again. And that's because they care. We say, well, we pay them. You do. Sometimes it's not about the paycheck. What I do is a calling. You all know that every place around us is recruiting for police officers, but you still have a core group of police officers who are here in Portsmouth doing the job every day and every night. That speaks credit to them. We can do this together. We can't do anything apart. The police department is a part of the community, not apart from the community. We've got to stand, y'all. The violence has to end, and it starts with every one of you. I thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sheriff Moore with the Portsmouth Sheriff's Office. First of all, I would like to thank the citizens of Portsmouth for being so patient over these last few months, few years, with the challenges that we've had with crime in the city of Portsmouth. We've always had a partnership with the Portsmouth Police Department. We've been called on here lately to do a little bit more things to help them out. And we're glad that we can help because we know if we help them, it helps the citizens of Portsmouth. So now even more so, I just really feel excited because now we have our federal partners and the state police, the DEA, the ATF, Homeland Security, and the FBI. We all will be working together. But the key component to this whole partnership is the partnership that we have and we share with the Portsmouth communities. That's what it's going to really, really take. You know, it's many different avenues we can think about, many different things we can come up with. Well, how can we address the crime in this city? And it's not just Portsmouth, but you know, we're talking about Portsmouth. It's simple. It's not, really, it's nothing magical about it. We really have to be involved, engaged in the communities that we serve. Communities that we go into, we should know those residents as well as those residents should know us. We shouldn't be waiting to respond to an incident for the very first time they see a police officer or a sheriff deputy or a federal agent. So I think mostly everyone in here, because I constantly give out my cell phone number, because I expect to be called when you can't find the answers that you need. And you can call me at any hours, and it does happen. Hold me responsible. Hold all these gentlemen up here responsible. Use those phones. Call us. Let us know what's happening. And if you don't get the response you need, it needs to be reported. Because now is the time for to stop the talking. And action has to take place to make these communities safer. And it's going to require all of us working together continuously, not Monday through Friday, every day of the week, 24 hours a day. That's what it's going to take. It's hard work, but it's rewarding work once we come together as a partnership. I don't agree with, I won't agree with everyone up here in law enforcement because I have a different perspective how to approach crime. They may have a different perspective how to approach crime. The key is to have that conversation and have those conversations and move towards the common goal, and that's to make the citizens of this city as well as surrounding cities as safe as possible. That's what we should be doing every day, day in and day out. That's what the Portsmouth Sheriff's Office will continue to do day in and day out. And I expect everyone else up here with me that's sitting behind me to do the same thing. Now is the time for action. We are way behind the 8 ball. We are a day or two late. It's time to play catch up and take advantage. I just saw a quote yesterday on a church sign. We can't control the beginning. We can't go back and control what happened at the very beginning, but we can control the narrative of the end. And that's what we have to do now. Again, I would love to thank the citizens of Portsmouth for being so patient and really believing in the Portsmouth Police Department, the Portsmouth Sheriff's Office, and our leadership in this city, and the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. She's a huge part of this. I mean, really, all of us are partners working together for the common goal and the safety of the citizens of this city. Again, feel free to call us all. If you don't know their numbers, you call me, I will find their numbers. I will get them to you, but hold us responsible day in and day out. Thank you all.
Thank you again, Sheriff, and all those who have participated in making those comments. You know, one of the things when we talked about the whole idea of what should happen next, we wanted to hear from some of you. And so this is the time where we will ask for some questions from you here who are participating, and we will do our best to provide some answers. In the interest of time, though, we'll entertain 5 questions. If you would raise your hand and please stand and ask your question, then we will have someone to address it. So we're now open for questions. Sir. Sir, come forward, please. You can ask your question here.
Yes, my name is Henderson Vaughn. I'm formerly from Portsmouth, Virginia. I was born and raised, but now I reside in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I started an organization called Community Action People way back in the 70s, dealing with teen violence and to try to resolve problems. One of the problems that grassroots organizations have, there is never no funding. You cannot solve a problem if you don't have resources. We can partner all day, but young people have to be addressed. Like you say, it's a 24-hour-a-day situation. I have been invited to come speak at Congress with my organization. I work with other organizations on a national level, but the problem is they said there's no funds. Young people have things to be active, you know, and when that is not there, they don't have anything to do. So we have to create some type of environment so that they can feel that somebody truly cares. Okay.
And I'm going to ask our city manager just to come up for a minute, Madam City Manager. One of the questions the question that the gentleman just posed to us, in some of the initiatives that we have, we recognize that there are some gaps in terms of funding to help these organizations. Can you speak to, for example, the grant that we were awarded and what that will go towards?
You're talking about ARPA funds?
Yes. No. The grant, the ARPA funds and the 490.
Oh, okay. Yes, the city stays active looking for additional funding to leverage city resources. The grant the mayor is talking about provides for grassroots initiatives to actually enable data-driven strategies in this community that's going to identify what those needs are and hopefully will help address crime as a result of some of those programs. In addition to that, the council has made it clear that we support grassroots initiatives. I've been meeting regularly with anyone that cares to sit down and give me their idea. And we've tried to direct them in a path that will help them to be able to use those resources and identify gaps in this community that will help us deter crime, and also not only deter crime, but look at how we interact with our community and how we regain trust in our community. Because in some areas, it's us against them. And we need to change that. In order for us to move forward, we need to have conversations about how we move forward, but everyone needs to trust that we're going to act on that and that we're going to move in a direction that's going to address those issues. Now, not everyone has the same methodology, not everyone has the same strategy, but what we're hoping to do with the funding that we've received is to provide across the board and address use methodologies that are different based on how we receive that information and what we hope to see as an outcome from those proposals. So we're hopeful that at the time now, we have resources and we plan to put those resources where they make the most difference.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir, if you want to come forward and ask your question.
Good afternoon. Thank y'all, everybody, for being here today, including everybody on this side as well. My name is Jafari. I represent Black Lives Matter 757. We have been a pillar in the community for the last 5 years. I originally started my activist journey in 2016 when my 14-year-old cousin committed suicide due to bullying. So everything that was going forward from that was to stop the world from bullying and people taking advantage of the less fortunate. So I came here today representing our organization asking that we be brought to the table with these initial conversations and not be reactionary. Also, we do feel like a huge issue with the elephant in the room. In all due respect, I don't feel like anybody in this room can stop crime. I don't feel like it's anybody's responsibility in this room to stop crime. What I do feel like it's our responsibility to care about our community and to make sure that we are all making sure that we're making sure everybody's straight. With that being said, there is a huge elephant in the room, and that's the toll right there. That Portsmouth tunnel right there that's stopping people from coming in and stopping people from going out to where the resources are. They have to bring resources into the city, because other than that, if we're just telling people what to do, and I understand you got your ATF and your FBI and all the alphabet boys, but policing our children, constantly pulling them over and searching them is not policing them. That's making them not feel safe. It's making them feel like they're in jail. It's making them feel like this isn't home. This is just where you lay your head. So saying all that to say, conversations we're to have is to be had after this, but we are offering our services. We are licensed. We do have pretty much all 3 levels. We have the street, we have a retired EMT and firefighter, and former veterans under our watch with credentials. but we're also willing to work with whatever conversation. So if we're willing to, the question is, are you willing to have the conversation with us moving forward?
Thank you very much. What you can do is, after the event is over, if you would give us your information, contact, and as the manager says, she has an open door policy to hear anyone's concerns, and so I would recommend that that's what we do. Sir, you have a question? Yes, and then the gentleman in the orange, and then we have one more after that. So, sir, if you would come forward, the gentleman in the orange and the gentleman at the back, we will end with his question.
Good afternoon, everyone. Barry Randall here representing Portsmouth Public Schools. Also, just to get information, also Civic League President of Brighton and Prentice Park and local community active. I necessarily, Mayor, don't have a question. I just want a quick statement. As I look around the room, I'm a little disappointed as I see just Councilwoman Lisa Lucasberg, Councilmember Bill Moody, and yourself here. I know many that have voiced a lot of these opinions about what we're dealing with here is not here today, and that's very disheartening. And I just believe that if we're gonna do better in our city, at some point we have to put aside us. It shouldn't be about us as leaders. It shouldn't be about us as politicians or community leaders. It should be about the citizens that's hurting the most. I'm gonna be reaching out to you again, as well as Sheriff Moore and Chief Prince and our city manager. My Civic League is asking you guys to do a ride along so that I can point out a lot of the properties that we're having issues with in our community. If we're not gonna bring solutions to the table, we can talk all day about it should have been planned better, it should have been thought out well, different times. That's neither here nor there. How do we expect these gangs to come together if nobody's gonna be the bigger person and say, okay, I don't agree with how you do things, but you saying that you have something that you wanna bring to the table, so let us come together and talk. So my prayer, my suggestion to you all out here is that we gotta stop with this gang mentality, because we're no better than the people in the street when it's us against them. I'm standing here today because I've been critical of this mayor, any mayor that we've had, any leader in this city, because as my job as a leader in the community is about holding people accountable. And if we're going to push and fuss and say what you're doing, what you're saying, you're not saying nothing, you're not saying nothing, and then when my brother gets up and says something, it's still a problem. So do we want to help this city, or are we thriving off the chaos in the city?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sir, would you come forward, please?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, City Manager. I want to compliment you and thank everyone for coming. And Chief, I really appreciate it, because I feel like we're having a new start, Sheriff. We've all been working for years, and now to rally together, I really believe that's strong. And I want to thank you, and I want to encourage you to continue rallying us. Sometimes it's like herding chickens, because we all have different approaches, but you guys can do it. Ms. City Manager, I really want to thank you for your invitation to the community-based groups. My question is, do we wait for RFP to come out, or do we put in an unsolicited proposal for funding?
Yes, thank you. You can be seated, sir. City Manager.
That could be twofold. You could wait till the RFP process comes out, but if you want to get more information about what some of the requirements are as it relates to the ARPA funds, please schedule a meeting prior to, because we want to make sure your proposals meet the guidelines beforehand versus you submitting something and it doesn't meet the requirements of the funds we have.
Will those guidelines be published?
Yes, they will.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Louis Richardson. I don't know if you can hear me. Again, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Louis Richardson. I'm formerly was the manager of the Portsmouth, Chesapeake, Suffolk, Franklin area office of the Virginia Employment Commission. And I just think we kind of overload the police department and law enforcement. They just cannot do everything. There's just too much involved in just saying, hey, this is another job for the police department. We have a lot of additional groups out here, such as myself. I use the knowledge that I've gained from helping citizens find jobs, from helping veterans find jobs, to talk to young men and young women about how do I find a job? What do I do? How can I get some hope? How can I feel better Because a lot of times people commit crime because the other alternatives they feel like are not there. So I'm willing to be a part of the solution as far as talking to groups of young men or groups of young women or whoever in our communities about how to find a job, how to effectively use the Virginia Employment Commission, how to get registered, how to build a resume. All this stuff is free online. And again, I feel like we got a lot of diversity here. Love is the way out. All of us reaching across and not seeing other people as them over there or us or whatever. We have to reach out and embrace our kids, no matter what color they are and no matter what color we are. Have to have senior citizens. We got a lot of senior citizens who are housed in senior communities, but they're segregated from the rest of the community. They're segregated from our young people. They should be there providing years of wisdom and knowledge to our young people. You know, we need to break down some of the barriers that we have, whether it's race or class or whatever, and open up some doors. Have a lot of military people who want to be mentors, who want to reach out and talk to kids who are not being invited to the table. Volunteers such as myself, I'm available to talk and help citizens find jobs and help do what I can. And again, I talk to kids and community groups about the dangers of drugs, the importance of an education, doing the right thing, make a right decision. So that's the way out. The way is not always going to be, let's lock them up, let's handcuff them, let's do whatever. So I'm available to you. I'm available to you, Mr. Mayor. I was at your meeting where you first announced for mayor. So again, congratulations. And I'm just here to serve the community. And that's what it should be about, us not beating each other over the head, but coming together as a group, no matter what color, what class, what race, but just helping and blessing each other. Thank you all.
Well, thank you, sir. And if you would, before you leave, if you could leave your information with the city manager before you leave today, if you could leave your information with me and the city manager. Thank you, brother. Once again, on behalf of the Portsmouth City Council, city leadership, our law enforcement partners, our clergy, our citizens, our business owners, everyone who believes in Portsmouth, I want to thank you for being here today in support of our effort to end all violence in the city of Portsmouth. But before I end, I want to share something with you. In traditional African culture, when someone would visit a village, the question would be asked when they showed up is, who are you? And the individual would respond with simply saying, I am we. I'll say that again. I am we. So when you think about what you're doing in the community, what your purpose is, how you can impact a life, how you can help a young person dream, how you can lift somebody up and help them, how you can change somebody from doing the wrong thing. Think about that just for 1 minute. This is our village. And when you come into our village, if you are we, then we are all responsible for one another. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your time. And I hope that God continues to bless the city of Portsmouth. Have a great day.